And welcome out to Trade Masters presented by Tackle Trading, where two coaches, Coach Matt and myself, Coach Frank from Tackle Trading, bring together a couple of different trade ideas, kick them around with one another, members of our community, as we try to beef up that midweek watch list. As always, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome to our YouTube channel. Always helpful to hit the sub, the like, the share, all the fun YouTube things. It helps us in the search. Hopefully it helps whenever we're doing things live or adding new videos. Yeah, we do a lot of Trade Master, but you might see some other things like the Trading Justice podcast, for example, on Mondays. Definitely worth checking that one out if you missed this past week's. By the way, welcome out to all of our pro members and non-pro members alike. Before we dive into it, if you're not yet a pro member, what are you waiting for? Never a better day than today to head on over to tackletrading.com, or you'll find the description in this video. Sign up for a free 15-day trial. Come be part of the best trading community out there, bar none. If you love Trade Masters, if you love charts and setups, this is really just a little bit of what we do throughout the week over at Tackle Trading. It all starts with our traders reports over the weekend, but we're constantly talking setups and looking for opportunities in our Discord channel, in our labs, in our evening shows. So come on over. I think you'll be very happy that you did. With all that said, Maddie, how you doing, brother? Excited to be here with you.
Yeah, doing great. Excited to be here with the team for another editions of Trade Masters, which is the quickest quote unquote 30 minutes in the market every single week here, Frankie. That's a slight joke because everybody knows we will probably go about
We probably
43
won't
to
make 30.
45 minutes.
One day
But
we'll make 30.
I thought just a couple notes on the market here today. I thought the market was very resilient on the bull side of the equation. Looking at the intraday side of the equation for most of the day, there really wasn't hardly any volatility here. And the only thing we really saw after kind of a little bit of a shaky open was a little bit of a pullback at the end. And those all-time high prices that's kind of what we're dancing at this point, Frankie, when you're looking at the daily chart on the S&P 500. Like we are just dancing that number right there at the 56 number. So when you think about kind of the market on the overnight session, um, I think best case scenario here, and it's going to be interesting on the overnight. The futures just reopened, but I want to hit a little bit of an intraday pullback here, Frankie, to
No.
to kind of reestablish that intraday levels. Kind of working back up into that breakout. It would be a pretty good look going into that
Yeah.
all-time high test here tomorrow. And speaking of all-time high test here in the marketplace, Frankie, I think I did my midweek scan here today, and I'll kind of show you to you over here on here's kind of the bull list that I was looking at. There were some really good setups on both the daily chart, weekly chart, even on the bear side. Bears are kind of in hibernation right now, but not on some of these individual stocks looking pretty good. And I was tempted, Frankie, to come with the bear pick, but I'm like, we're dancing all-time highs. We're dancing the breakout. Let's we got an edge here. Let's push it a little bit.
Yeah.
And my picks are a little YOLO. They are. They're a little
I
YOLO here
know they
today.
are, and and I endorse it. I got a little bit of YOLO bro in
Mm-hmm.
me, so I'm excited about it. Yeah, great week in the market thus far. All started with that confirmation off of that pullback that you detailed in great detail in the Tackle newsletter this week, getting exactly what we needed to see. Now we're just getting into I think one of the issues this week versus say last week, we were kind of navigating the pullback on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
This week, we got a lot of things that are already in progress.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe they just don't present new entries that offer the great risk reward that we'd like today. But I know we got a couple of
Can I give you
things
an
to
example
look
very
at.
quickly?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
just to give you an example of something.
Don't let it be
I
LRCX.
wish I would have. I wish it's not. I wish I would have found it earlier today. I was actually did my deep dive scan after the market here, but you look at Polaris here, for example, breakout of a significant whole number at 60, multiple time frame breakout
Yeah.
here, just a beautiful breakout. The story on the weekly chart, though,
Ooh,
is knockout,
that's
like
shiny.
knockout. This is a beautiful weekly chart.
It
And
really
so when I
is.
was looking at the daily, and I'm like, I just can't put it on for Trade Masters because you miss the trigger on
You
on a
just, you
swing
just,
trade, right?
yep,
And
you
so,
just
but
need a
it's
little
not
dialing
one
in.
like any flag down to 60 looks fantastic here, like absolutely fantastic. So there was, 15, 20 stocks like that just got a little giddy up today. It was a good day in the market for the most part. Got a little bit of giddy up, and so, but I think we got four stocks that look really, really good here as well.
Absolutely. I'm excited to break it down. Let's do it. Let's go round one here. Now, round one, we're calling David and Goliath for good reason here, Maddie. So
Well,
do you
Goliath has to kind of go first
I think Goliath has to go
because I'm
first.
preparing my slingshot.
You got it. Yeah, you're looking for the right stone. And
I am. I got to get me a stone.
this is a tough battle here. So all right, I will go first. And listen, I'm a simple dude. Nvidia breaks out. I want to trade Nvidia. Call me old fashioned, but whenever Nvidia breaks out of anything, no less a little bit of a time consolidation like we're seeing right now, I think you got to be interested as a potential trading opportunity. Hasn't really ran. Definitely saw some
Mhm.
more running in some of the different semis today as far as percentage goes, but clearly has done nothing wrong. Looking at that daily chart, we closed above that resistance level for the second day in a row now, right? So you'd like to think that the more
Even
time we
tested the
spend,
breakout channel this morning, Frankie. Like we
yeah, I
were,
mean, yeah, even kind of, yeah, even tested it out, and so it's developing some battle heartedness, right, as much as you can within a 2 day period, at least. Nvidia, this one's simple, right? I mean, Nvidia, one of the best, biggest. I think you said yesterday in the lounge, it's a market unto itself, and that is an accurate evaluation of Nvidia. I don't think you get too crazy and have to make this too difficult on yourself here. Any follow through over today's high, I think you just call that your entry signal. Stop loss, I like kind of going underneath yesterday's low 90 MA combo. That tends to be, my preferred method in this type of scenario. But really, as long as you're below the breakout channel by whatever, your individual rule is, I wouldn't fight you too hard in that regard. This is NVIDIA. So there's a bazillion and one ways to play it, right? You can, pop a call, you can do a bull call spread, you can do a butterfly. You can just pick up some shares. So you got plenty of ways to go about it. If you want to, depending on your comfort level and exactly how aggressive you want to be,
Mhm.
you can pick up a pretty decent fly with about 3 weeks of life. For around $70, going the 197, 202, 50, 205. And I think 200's the target. So that kind of does make sense. But really, that's, you're getting in the weeds of how would you versus how would I want to play it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's the breakout that I want to play, and your vehicle versus mine is kind of a trader's discretion. I don't see any reason why we don't kind of mag it up to that nice $200, that big round number. I think that's your first target. You can have, or your second target. I think you can have your first target be whatever the heck you want. I think 200 is the trade here on Nvidia. If you, or have an extended target beyond that or a conservative target before it, again, I think that really comes down to trader's discretion. I don't think you play this breakout if you don't think 200's in play.
Uh, I'm thinking above 200
I got
personally.
no problem with it, right? As long
In
as you
fact,
take 200 in for a target.
I'll just say one thing additionally on this. I wouldn't choke off the return here. I'd like to keep something a little bit more open-ended here, just given the fact that NVIDIA multiple time frame breakouts
Oh, they've
have
paid.
an extremely good track record.
Yeah.
And that does not mean this one sticks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You never know the future,
It's
right?
history there's a rhythm to it. It doesn't specifically repeat, but there is a rhythm to it. And so I just I really like this NVIDIA breakout. I'm a big fan of NVIDIA breakouts, and this one is something that we've been talking about for
For a
honestly,
bit.
Frankie,
Yeah.
not just a couple days here, not
No,
just a couple
no.
weeks, but really ever since it dialed in the base that ultimately felt at
Yep.
this level on the weekly chart. So, real good pick. I have obviously nothing negative to say here,
You got your work
Frankie.
cut out for you,
Um,
right?
listen, I, I'm not voting for myself. Let's just say it like that.
I respect it.
Um,
I do like what you have going on here. It's not a
listen,
fair fight, but
no, it isn't. It
I
isn't.
do like
I'm a
what you're
big
doing
fan of
here.
the king, queen, and country of all things AI. And what I specifically said in the lounge yesterday was, I think every bull in the market today should say thank you to Nvidia for carrying the entire market yesterday. And I don't think we're talking about the quality of setups in the broad market right now. We are if it wasn't for yesterday. So
Oh, it sure didn't
I
hurt. I
still
know that much.
maintain that. I still maintain that. In fact, Frankie, when I did my broad-based scan, I saw 4 or 5 pure AI stocks that
Yes.
are downstream, and one of them might be my round two pick, but that looked pretty decent from a technical perspective as well. With that said, David versus Goliath here. Let me see if I found my stone. I'm going to go GameStop here, Frankie, for my round one pick.
All
And
right.
the thing about GameStop that I just kind of like right now is GameStop had every reason in the world in this little move here just to sell off and tank right back down into the lows. It didn't, consolidated, fought back up. And now I think you got to be looking at GameStop from a pure technical perspective, saying this is one of the better technical setups that GameStop has really kind of had. From a pure technician's perspective, you don't get a lot of clean setups ever on GameStop. Like it's one of the problems with it is it's gappy. It doesn't
Yeah.
it's obviously YOLO bro, and it's obviously very aggressive, and that can just dirty up the joint. I kind of feel like this breakout's clean. And because I kind of feel like this breakout's clean, I just feel like we can play the bar here on GameStop and say, okay, entry above the high, stop. It's negotiable as always, but I think you start with the low point using your ATR rule, and then obviously with the expectation that 9 EMA catches up. But what really caught my eye was not the entry and stop loss. I think those are pretty cookie cutter textbook type conversations here. What really caught my eye is when you're looking at GameStop's overall macro trend here. There's an edge when you get into the low 20s, and the low 20s kind of for it's not clean. It's like 20,
Right.
21,
But it's
22. It's kind of in that low 20s. But once it does find its foundation, Frankie, there's a real good chance that thing gets back up into the mid 30s, maybe 33,
yeah.
34, 35. And you just never know if those YOLO bros come in underneath and catch that momentum. And so I just kind of feel this is a little bit of a, pretty aggressive swing trade, honestly, but just a little swing trade where you have a philosophy of that weekly chart, just rinse and repeating. That's all I'm saying is the history will play out again. That's it. That's
That's
all
all.
I'm
Yeah.
saying.
That's all you're saying.
And as such, I just kind of feel this is a pretty clean setup on GameStop. And so when I'm looking at it just from an overall trade structure perspective, I am looking at YOLO here, which means I am looking at a little bit of call option, and I will go out a little bit more time here. Although, if you wanted to be very aggressive, like I wouldn't mind the 16-day contract here. And if there was one I felt a little bit better, it might be the 30. But I'm going to go out a little bit more time, slightly out of the money here, Frankie. And I'm just going to say, okay, can we get, and I'll just say call option, but can we get that call option right there to ding into the 35 handle? And so if you look at this from an overall reward to risk ratio perspective, entry above the high, somewhere around the 28 level, stop loss underneath the low. The low point is 27.18. So let's just say 27 at that point here,
Okay.
Frankie.
Yep.
And so you're basically taking slightly over a dollar of risk. And so if your entry is going to be somewhere around that, 28 level right there, you're probably maxing out per contract somewhere around 50 to 60, $70 of risk, right? I'm not willing to sit in GameStop here. I'm not willing to set through a pullback. I'm not willing to set through a fake out. I don't have a lot of trust in GameStop. I just like the technical setup, and as long as that breakout exists, I just think we can play that aggressively. And so you're taking a little bit of risk there, and again, 35 is the number, but there's a couple levels slightly underneath that. And so you got about a 6-to-1 reward to risk ratio on a slightly out of the money call option with an expectation of this momentum to continue to play out. And so I just like that. I like the technical setup. I think it's a clean technical setup. It's a momentum-based swing trade. There's no doubt about that. You're playing the bar with the anticipation the 90 EMA is catching up. And we're just going to be targeting up here around those mid 30s here with on the weekly chart. Once again, that'd be secondary target. $30 might be the first target, 31, 32. Dealer's choice on that
Yep,
first
makes
target.
sense.
I just think the second target is pretty rock solid, like right around that 34 level. You see the double top on the weekly chart. You see the volatility trying to break that. It came right underneath that. Well, where did the candle kind of close underneath that? 33.30. And so yeah, you got to like the edge up to there, but I don't think you like anything on top of that. And the beautiful thing about this trade structure is you don't need anything above that to make this a really, really good trade. And so I'm going to go with GameStop for my David versus Goliath pick here. Once again, I don't have
Listen,
anything wrong to say about that Nvidia trade. That's a pure technical trade, in my opinion, on one of the best stocks in the market. But with round one done, Tim, let's hear from you a little bit. Which one, GameStop or Nvidia, Frankie?
listen, you make a compelling argument for GameStop, and I don't disagree with your analysis one bit. But it's not a multiple time frame breakout on Nvidia, so I'm sorry it loses.
It is not a multiple time frame breakout. Um, that is accurate. That is accurate. I'll still pick the Nvidia one personally.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's fair.
it's
That's
Nvidia, but
I think if we're all really being honest,
if
most
we're
of us
all being
probably
honest
do.
and pure, the
But
Nvidia one
but
is
we don't really have to pick. We just have to pick for the sake
no,
of the
no,
conversation,
no.
right?
Heavens no, heavens no. The position size in Nvidia might be slightly different than the one in GameStop,
It
but
might be.
we can do the same.
It
Absolutely,
it might not be exactly
absolutely.
one for one,
All
but I
right,
mean the risk
Frankie.
reward is fantastic on GameStop. Gotta love it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think that's what really is compelling on the GameStop trade is you don't have the probability, in my opinion, that you do on the Nvidia trade, but you got a much better reward to risk ratio, and that's what's a little bit intoxicating about the GameStop trade. But
Sure,
we'll
sure.
see, we'll see, we'll see.
Mike does a roaring kitty would be upset with me.
That's right.
He probably would. Listen, I'm cheering for
Roaring
GameStop.
Kitty, I would not hate you, and I'll say something positive about you next time on the podcast if you come in and pump behind me on this one.
There you go. There you go.
Mhm. I
Let's
was very
make
critical of him last time he came out with that nonsensical pump, so I'll change my tune a little bit here, buddy.
yeah, you benefit from it all of
Oh,
a sudden. Pumping is good. Right.
it
Very
is.
intriguing
All
though. Very
right, round
intriguing.
two here.
Round two. All right. I got to go first round one, so you get to go first round two, my friend.
All right,
You
the
got the
first
look in
one
your
I'm
eye that
throwing
you're
is
thinking
just
about
a radar
audibling.
candidate, by the way. Um, but I was looking at Big Bear AI today.
It is Big Bear.
Big Bear, and
It is Big
it's
Bear.
doing some Big Bear things right now. And I was really close to Big Bear. Like, could this be the trade master's pick? And it's like very close. And then I was like, I just like sound a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more consistent. I think it's a better stock in general. I think from a fundamental perspective, sound is just much. I shouldn't say much, but it's just a better company in general from a fundamental perspective. Technical here, both of them had pullback situations, but Sound has a little bit of a better, more consistent trend in general. And so Sound's going to be my round two pick on the
I
pullback
like it.
situation here, Frankie. And when you're looking at Sound on the pullback here, just a little bit of a standard pullback, nothing too crazy here. Officially sets a higher high right around the 19 level. You can make an argument if you wanted to with the bodies of the candles here around the 18 level as well. I wouldn't argue with you that much, but one way or the other, you got to paint that as a higher high. And so you're looking at a nice little higher high, higher low situation with the bounce right off the 20 period moving average. Now, that zone between the rising 9 and the rising 20 is known as a bull zone. It's known as a bull zone because there's a lot of support levels between those levels oftentimes. And so what you would like to see as the market, any market, but in this capacity sound, what you would like to see is it get into that 9, into that 20, and you want to see that pivot formation at that point. And to really kind of see the pivot formation, you look at it from an intraday perspective, Frankie. That's where you see that slow moving U shape that looks like a pivot on the daily chart. Well, it's actually a reversal on the intraday side of the equation that creates that. And so you got a situation where market was just screaming on the downside here. You can see it during that pullback phase right here. Connect the dots a little bit. You can see that trend line pumping down. Look at the volatility down, down. Look at the volatility down, down. As you start working into that 9 and the 20, what starts to happen? It starts to shift. And you see that shift on the intraday side of the equation. You come back out to the daily chart here, and now you see that just as that single pivot candle, and you do have that confirmation here today. Now, when you're looking at the structure of the trade right now, yeah, and coming back down into that intraday side of the equation, from an entry perspective, there's a level that really stands out to me here, and day traders are here, Frankie. Like that's day trader zone. That's not you as a swing trader zone. That's you as a day trader zone. This double top on the 15-minute chart right there at the high of the day is a very significant number because that tells you that you need to get above that high. There's no intraday level that you feel comfortable because of that double top as a swing trader. So the entry is just above the high. Make sure that we can get above that high. And then on the stop loss here, I just think you're just looking underneath yesterday's low here, Frankie. So entry above the high using your personal ATR rule, stop underneath the low point on the pivot point using your personal ATR rule. And then on the targeting side of the equation here, Frankie, like to me, 20 feels like the target here. It's a significant whole number. It's a slight drift above the high. Would it be shocking to see some momentum here? Probably 24 is a little bit too ambitious, to be perfectly blunt with you, but 20 is my target. That's my real target is 20, and I want to see how it reacts at 20. So I'm looking at two levels here. T1 level not too important to me, perfectly honest with you. 20 is my real target, but the 1930 level is that wick high, and I do want to take that into account. And so I am targeting 20, but I am going to take into account 1930 to see if the momentum starts to shift.
Sure.
That's the trade on sound. And yes, I am going calls, but we did talk in the lounge yesterday. I can't remember who brought it up,
I think it
but
was me.
yesterday when we were talking in the lounge, I believe the question was, would sound be a good covered call? And I said no. And the reason I said no is because of the very analysis that we're talking about right now. But what we did say in the lounge yesterday was a really good naked put candidate. And so on the cash flow side of the equation, sounds the dirty, sexy money candidate for the tackle 25. It's a great boomerang candidate. And if you know how to trade the boomerang, sound looks like to be in a good position for one of those as well. So a little bit of theta, a little bit of delta there, Frankie. You know me, I'm going to take the delta.
I like both philosophies, and honestly, and I said this in the lounge yesterday. I like the shares trade if it fits within your account, and you can have say 105 or at least 100, but a little kicker goes a long way. Where it starts out as just shares, and as we get into that 1930 range,
Yeah,
then convert it to a covered call. Because the beautiful
100%.
thing about sound is you can get credit for it. But
And
again, that's kind of a preference thing. I
yeah,
have these
if
guys on my short list too.
100%, if you're going to buy the equity here from a position trade perspective, you are thinking about selling that covered call the next time it pivots. Like 100%.
Exactly. But lots of ways you can
I'm
play
not
it.
doing that. I'm going calls.
See,
But
and I would be on the other side. I would go shares, so I could eventually do that. But
either
again,
one,
to
like
each
either
their
one,
own.
right? I'm
We'd
just
both
swing
be
trading. That's
happy.
why.
Both be happy,
Yeah.
right? I love it.
All
I
right.
had them
What's
on my
yours,
short
brother, in
list as
round
well.
two?
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to match your pullback with a pullback on IONQ.
I was
Yeah,
looking at them earlier today.
this is, if you're a conservative trader, this might not be your cup of tea, which is fine, by the way. Takes all
Big boy.
kinds, but this is a big boy play, but this is a really nice little pullback, same kind of analysis as far as into that bull zone, that
Mhm.
rising 920. We've really established the last couple of candlesticks, up, and I'll be approximate here, 60 on the low and actually a kiss of 65 on the high, which also lines up with that 9 EMA. So we're just looking for some upward movement in price here. Unlike sound, where I feel a little more strongly about the entry that you painted for the trade, just hey, get over the high and maybe you're ready to rock and roll. This one, I don't know that I would feel like I couldn't wait. I'd feel like I could wait for a close or maybe
Yeah,
a scale in with a small portion of it, because these guys can YOLO it, and then small portions better than no portion. But really, I don't think we've seen that upward movement in price just yet. So I kind of feel like we would want a little bit more as far as confirmation goes before we're at least ready to giddy up and go personally. So I would just stay, a close over that level. But if I'm being honest, I kind of like a little bit of a scale in and then add on strength if that happens. But again, that's kind of a trader's discretion type of a deal. But I do think confirmation is important in this particular case. And I do believe you can wait for it. This was a tremendous move here recently, Maddie, right? I mean, a tremendous move. We're at all-time highs. Well, we were all-time highs on the pullback, right? So you got lots of reason to believe there's plenty of upside on this guy. I think where your first target just naturally is going to be resistance, right? Just that recent swing high. I'll tell you what the number actually is. 76,
76.13. So you
76.
just
Yeah.
say
I'll
76.
say 76. I mean, that was the end of a really good run, right? I'm not overly afraid of it, but I'll respect that level for sure. And it's hard to say exactly what that looks like risk to reward wise, especially if you're waiting for the close, but it's probably not too far off of 2 to 1 into
I
that
would agree.
into
Yeah.
that resistance level. If because I mean, if it's a giant bar and close at 72 tomorrow, you're probably like, I should have just got in, right?
Yeah, that's a little different. But
You're
let's say
probably
you get
not
in at
building the trade
67,
there.
like, yeah.
Exactly. So your risk reward should be very solid just to that recent swing high. But I don't think that's really why you're making this trade. This is one of those that if you break through this level, you've got a momentum situation. You just broke out of a long-term range. This is our first pullback within that range. We already basically moved from like what 35 to 76, right? So we know we can rock and roll. I mean, it's extended, and I don't think when you're targeting, I don't think you're thinking this, but I don't think 100 is out of the realm of possibilities. But what I do kind of think you
I don't
do
get it.
is you let momentum kind of guide you beyond that swing high, right? And let it take you out when it gives out the 9 EMA or the 5 EMA or whatever,
Or
you personally,
two slowing momentum
or
candles,
two, yeah, or a double
some
top
degree of
forms
momentum
until you
shift.
get a reason,
Yeah.
right? Until you get a reason, because I don't know that it's 85, 90, 100. I mean, if I had to
Nobody
put in a
does.
target, I'd kind of split the mid and go 90, but I don't have to do that. There's a lot of upside here. It is pretty controlled as well with the momentum that
Mhm.
we're seeing. So, IONQ is a volatile name, but it's also
Very volatile.
relatively well behaved for a volatile
Especially
name,
recently in this run.
especially recently, as it's kind of
But
grown
even
up a
like
little bit.
even in some of its previous movements, like
Yeah, it's been pretty
even in its
consistent
neutrality,
technically.
it wasn't. It was so boring. Nobody even knew it. Like,
Yeah, just nobody even brought it up. And then one day it got dinged at because it broke through that. So I mean, it's
yeah,
been fairly
exactly.
well behaved. I mean, make no mistake about it. This is a volatile stock, right? There is no doubt about that. And that probably isn't going to change, but they have been very, very well behaved. I think risk to reward justifies it. As you can kind of see on Maddie's drawing there, the extended target, you're not quite 100, but we're not that far off of that if we're able to re-up on some of this momentum. I don't know that we do. I'm certainly not betting that we can't, and I know that we don't need to have this be a very, very exciting trade.
No, and again, I think your call out on confirmation here is really, really, really key here, Frankie, because you're seeing the battle play out
Yep.
at support, right? You're seeing the buyers step in, sellers are coming out, the profit taking sessions have started to wane. You look at the volume profile here, Frankie. Slight bigger increases in volume on the expansion, slight contraction on the pullback. That shows you a little bit more profit taking. There's always going to be a battle here between the bulls and the bears on a volatile stock like IONQ.
Oh yeah.
But the volume profile suggests that all we're seeing is a bullish retracement so far, and that's what the technicals are. And so when you see that situation and you have it in between that bull zone, that standard pullback. I talk about this all the time in Master Trader. I talk about this all the time whenever I'm teaching the depth of the retracement. When you have a standard retracement in between that bull zone, we need to see confirmation.
Yeah.
We need to see confirmation. That it does, and it's one of those things where like, yeah, I want to see confirmation. I just don't want to see it at 72. You know,
Yes.
I want to see confirmation at
That's
66.
the trade-off, right?
Yeah, but that's kind of coming back to sound. That's kind of what sound was doing here today,
Yep.
right? High, slightly above, right? You still feel like you can get a pretty pristine entry there. And so I think it was smart to call out for confirmation on that one because the standard pullback, you're definitely going to want to see that get confirmed. And so, Frankie, two good pullbacks, I would say, on both sound and
Yeah, this one's
IO.
tough.
Um,
Be-
which one do you like the most?
It's tough because I've been a SoundHound guy for a hot minute.
Me too.
And so IONQ is just newer to the party.
Hmm.
I'd probably just have to go with SoundHound. I am a fan of SoundHound. And I can build SoundHound today, wait for my confirmation on IONQ tomorrow and feel like I'm cheating, but not cheating. So I think if I had to choose, I would choose SoundHound.
Um, yeah, I think I have to agree with that as well. I think the IONQ trade and setup is a real high quality setup. I just have a little bit more experience with sound, and so it's like I have a little bit more
It's like an old
confidence
friend, right?
in the
It,
analysis. You know
yeah,
what I
it's an
mean?
old, yeah,
Um,
it's an older
doesn't
friend.
mean we can't make new friends though, brother.
No, absolutely. There's room in my heart for more than one. There's room, but yeah, it's a tough call. I think
Especially
risk
if
to
you're doing
reward.
anything on cash flow side,
If you're doing
sounds
the cash flow, I think sounds an easy call, right? Just I mean the price alone and the great the great premiums you can get. I think risk to reward, like from a directional point of view, I think I would give the edge to IONQ,
I
but
think
it's
so too.
not like SoundHound.
Pure
I mean,
technical conversation, remove the symbol. I think I would give the edge to IO and Q.
so
Yeah.
it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But good times. So it looks like sound
Very good
was kind
times.
of it looks like for the most part, it was sound and NVIDIA. I'm not terribly
Well,
surprised.
sound is a dirty, sexy money
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
stock.
So we're yeah, we're
So
we're old
our
hats here with
community is
SoundHound,
pretty
right?
familiar with SoundHound. And it's 2 months before I start dialing in the next edition of the Tackle 25, which includes the dirty, sexy money list. But I'll tell you right now, Sound's going to make round two. Like, you might as well just put
You
them on
can
the
you
list
can you
right
can mark
now. Like,
it really is a great cash flowing
it's a
stock. I mean,
really
it's the
cash flow
really
stock.
great price tag,
Hmm.
extreme liquidity, generally speaking, really
Great
good
for all types
premiums,
of
a ton
accounts,
of strikes and
lots of
expirations. I
liquidity.
mean,
Like,
like if everything was SoundHound, I might not be a
it
Delta
kind of
dog.
sounds like we're describing like companies like AMD and FCX and GDX. You know what
It
I mean?
does, right?
Just from the
Yeah,
liquidity
from
type
the liquidity and the
situations. So many.
optionability. Yeah,
Yeah. Sounds definitely going to make the list. I haven't really
yeah.
thought about the other. There's a lot of
Spoiler
stocks
alert:
on the list. I
Nvidia
just
will make the list.
Nvidia's going to, yeah, yeah, Nvidia's making the list. Yeah, they're making the list as well. Well, everybody says their 27 forward P ratio is too high. I still think it's cheap.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah, they're
yeah,
still making the list. Brother, this was so fun again. I absolutely
absolutely.
enjoy Trade Masters. And if you guys
Always
love
enjoy it.
Trade Masters the same way Coach Frank and I do, hit that like, tell somebody about it, spread the good word of Trade Masters and all things tackle trading. We really, really appreciate our community. In fact, far more than that, we love our community. There's no
100%.
doubt about that. We spend a tremendous amount of time with our community day in and day out. And if you're interested in joining a community like Tackle Trading, like minded traders and investors, all supporting one another, all helping one another, cheering on each other's success. Come over to Tackle Trading. No doubt about that. Number one education company in America in the financial space, because we will do whatever we can to help our community out. No doubt about
Absolutely.
that. My favorite trade of all of them, Frankie? NVIDIA.
NVIDIA. Yeah. I mean, that was it was low hanging fruit. It was
Yeah,
cheap. It was easy. But sometimes you just need a cheap pop, right?
yeah, that's true.
So,
That's true. That's
I'll
true.
go with that. Well, this was great, man. I appreciate it as always. And thank you, team, watching. And those of you who catch it later, let us know if you're watching later who you like the best. Let's see if we can get the clean sweep from NVIDIA. But appreciate each and every one of you. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Later, team.